चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपा गदा मह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकम्। हे कृष्णा कर्ण सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेशा गोपिका कांता राधाकांता नमस्ते। तप्त कांचन गौरंगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधार शिवसादि गौर भक्त वृंदा। हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे. So chapter 11 is the universal form. Vishwarup Sandarshan Yoga. It's a very visual chapter. Let's pay our obeisances to Shri Radha Govinda before we proceed. And this is what we did yesterday, chapter 10, the opulences of the Absolute. Where Krishna described his 82 opulences. So Krishna is unknowable and source of all. We read that no one can actually know Krishna. So Krishna himself has to tell us about who Krishna is. And we did the Chatushloki Bhagavad Gita, where the essence of Vedanta Sutras, Sambandha, Abhidheya and Prayojan is explained from verse number 8 to 11. And Arjuna, after hearing this, Hare Krishna, accepts Krishna's supreme position. He accepts. Sarvam etam ritam manye. Then he requests Krishna to show more and more of his opulences so he can go on meditating. He looks at sun and then so that he can look at sun and think that, oh, the light of the sun is Krishna. Look at moon, oh, the light of the moon is Krishna. Smell the original fragrance of earth and think that original fragrance of earth is Krishna. Like that, he wanted to see Krishna everywhere. And Krishna describes his vibhutis. And now continues. Arjuna requests Krishna to show his universal form today. First, Krishna describes his universal form. Then he gives Arjuna the vision to see the universal form. Arjuna looks at the universal form, and then Arjuna shares his experience of the universal form. And he asks a question to the universal form of Krishna, that who are you? He can't recognize who that is. And Krishna replies, time I am. And then Arjuna prays to the universal form and then finally prays to Krishna to show his original form. And then Krishna says pure bhakti is needed to see Krishna. Okay, let's start. Vibha, you're here or you're gone?
I'm here, Mataji.
Okay, you want to chant this verse?
Yes, Mataji. Arjuna uvacha mad anugrahaya paramam guhyam adhyatma samnitam yatvayoktam vachastena mohoyam vigato mama.
Thank you. Arjuna said, I have heard your instruction on confidential spiritual matters, which you have so kindly delivered unto me, and my illusion is now dispelled. So initially Arjuna had illusion, right? What were the questions given or the propositions given by Arjuna to Krishna that he's not going to fight? What were they? You can write to me in the chat. What were they? That he remembered in first chapter he gave the reasons. I'm not going to fight Krishna. For Krishna. So compassion, yes. Everybody remembers compassion. No enjoyment, sin, okay. No enjoyment, sin, okay. Family tradition, okay. And then indecision, very nice. So collectively you all have given me the reasons. Yes, so Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to convince or to teach Arjuna that what is what, and that particular illusion that he had is now dispelled. He's not an illusion anymore. Mane, he does not have those questions anymore which he had originally. Whatever he was telling to Krishna is now gone. Okay, because he's been accepted. He has accepted confidential spiritual matters from Krishna, and that is a result of Krishna consciousness. If we are hearing from a bona fide source, then we will also not have those illusory thoughts. It is illusory. It is very illusory, because illusion means, what does illusion mean, or what does Maya mean? What does it mean? What is the word meaning of, or even better, how Prabhupada explains it? Can anyone write to me? What is the meaning of the word Maya or illusion? Suffering, attachment, somebody suffering attachment. Nah, no, something you cannot see. You're almost there. Mithya, trap, desires. Illusion or Maya, actually, it actually means that which is not. That which is not. It appears like for example, optical illusion. It's something else, but it appears to be something else. So that which is not is the word meaning. How Srila Prabhupada has explained in Bhagavad Gita. So now that particular concept from Krishna, from Arjuna's consciousness is now dispelled, and he's very, very thankful. I am just going to say Arjuna is very vocal about how he feels. He's very, very vocal about how he feels, and he's very much driven by his feelings. Not only is he in touch with it, but he's also very driven. Yesterday, I was talking to my friend. I read emotion. The word emotion means, yesterday only I read this, a feeling that gives you emotion. The feeling that gives you emotion is emotion. Means that that particular feeling is so strong that it converts into an activity. You do something about it, right? So for example, if somebody is angry, that anger emotion is going to show off in a symptomatic manner, where person may shout at someone or do something in anger, right? Or if somebody is full of gratitude, then that emotion is also going to show, and that is what's going to happen today. Plus, Arjuna is going to have a wide array of emotions today. And how much is he in touch with his feelings? We have to learn so much from Bhagavad Gita. People say, what do we learn from Bhagavad Gita? I say, what you cannot learn from Bhagavad Gita. Every single thing. He goes on to convince Krishna to show him the universal form. And just listen to their dialogue. We cannot take anything out. So all the verses are there. Oh, lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity, as realized through your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see here before me your actual position, I yet wish to see how you have entered into cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystics, then kindly show me that universal self. First, he is showing his gratitude. He's not challenging Krishna. These inquiries are not challenging, they're submissive inquiries. You see, when we say inquire submissively, then this is how the dialogue should be going. Inquire submissively. That Krishna, I am convinced with whatever you have shown me. I am 100% convinced, but if I still want to see how you have entered into the cosmic manifestation. So, and then he's not challenging Krishna, show me. No, he says, if you think, then please show it to me. Now, the question for you is, the universal form of Krishna, is it more near to the personal form of Krishna or more near to the impersonal form of Krishna? What is it more near to? The universal form of Krishna. Personal or impersonal? People are, one person wrote impersonal, and there's a mix. Impersonal. Two people have written personal, or 3-4 have written personal. Somebody has written cosmic form. Well, that's the no, that's not the personal, impersonal. So everyone has one or the other view. So there is no universal form as such. There is no form as such. There is no form. If let's say that Archa Vigraha, or the original form of Krishna, if we want to serve, we can serve. If we want to dress, we can stitch a dress. If we want to serve the bhoga, we can serve. If we want to offer the arti, we can offer arti. The original form of Krishna in the form of Archa Vigraha is available, is ready to receive the worship. But personal form of Krishna is more like a concept. It's more like a concept that, okay, the Krishna is Krishna's head represents upper planetary system. Krishna's legs represent lower planetary system. It's more like how he's present in the cosmic manifestation. Cosmic manifestation means the manifestation which comes into existence, stays for some time, and then it goes away or it annihilates. Spiritual manifestation is always there. It's eternal. There's no time factor there. But the place where we are sitting right now is cosmic manifestation, which has a date of origin, date, duration, and then date of dissolution. So Arjuna wants to see how Krishna has entered into this cosmic manifestation. So impersonal, or the Vishwarupa is more near to the impersonal form of Krishna. Impersonal. Now the thing is that so far he said that my illusion is now dispelled, and it also means that he is now convinced of the Supreme Personality of Godhead as a supreme person, not energy, person. That Krishna is a person, supreme person. But now he is asking him to describe the impersonal aspect. What makes Arjuna ask this question? That show me the universal form. What do you think? What is making Arjuna to ask this question now, when he is already saying his illusion is dispelled? He's convinced that Krishna is a supreme person. Why do you think he's asking Krishna now? Show me the universal form. Yes, and he replies, and it will also tell me if you are reading Bhagavad Gita or not, because answer is given for future generations. Okay, that is one point. Yes, he wants to hear from Krishna. Well, he's been hearing from Krishna for future generation. Okay, so that he can convince others. Okay, to make others to believe in him. Okay, to make others understand. Okay, others might not see. Okay, for non-devotee. Okay, to show divinity for all, for others' illusion to be dispelled. Yes, correct. To be a proof. Okay, so to establish the validity. Transcendence, because he realizes Krishna has another form. Because he wants to see. Well, okay, so there are a couple of reasons that Prabhupada is writing in this first 3-4 verses. First, Krishna is going to show him the universal form because Arjuna is asking. If Arjuna would not have asked, he will not show. So he's requesting Krishna, he will show. And the second is that Krishna is going to show universal form to Arjuna, and this will encourage Arjuna to fight. Because in the universal form, we are going to see how Krishna is going to show that everything is actually going to end in him. No one is going home other than a few people from the war field. So either Arjuna fights or doesn't fight, it doesn't really matter. So second reason is to encourage Arjuna to fight. Third reason is for others to establish the equivocal supremacy of Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That most of you wrote that reason. Okay, and then the fourth reason is to set a criteria for future in case somebody claims that they're God. So it's a criteria. God means, okay, then can you show the universal form? Can you lift the Govardhan hill? Can you kill the demons? Can you kill Kansa? It's not that, okay, I'm God. Okay, you're God, then show it. Show it, because Krishna showed that he's God. He just did not say it. So these are the 4 reasons. Number 1, to please Arjuna, who wanted to see the universal form. Number 2, to encourage Arjuna to fight. Number 3, to establish the supremacy of Krishna, equivocal supremacy of Krishna for future generations. And number 4, to set a criteria to define what God is, to set a criteria for any person in future who claims that they are God. Okay, these are some of the reasons. The blessed Lord said, my dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, behold, now Krishna is going to describe the universal form. Behold now my opulences, hundreds and thousands of varied divine forms, multicolored like the sea. Whatever you wish to see can be seen all at once in this body. This universal form can show you all that you now desire, as well as whatever you may desire in the future. Everything is here completely. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give to you divine eyes by which you can behold my mystic opulence. So Krishna has given him the glimpse of what universal form is going to be like, and then he's going to give him the divine vision. So that's another thing. In future, somebody says, I'm God, okay, then they must be able to give the divine vision. And the person who's going to see the universal form must validate what they saw. And Sanjay is reporting it to Dhritarashtra in Hastinapur. Sanjay Uvacha, Evam Yuktva Tato Rajan, Mahayogeshwaro Hari, Darshayamsha Parthaya, Paramam Rupam Eshwaram. Sanjay said, O king, speaking thus, the supreme, the lord of all mystic power, the personality of Godhead, displayed his universal form to Arjuna. So when Dhritarashtra heard that, oh, Krishna is going to show the universal form, now Arjuna is going to be in ecstasy and Dhritarashtra is bewildered. See, there's a point here one devotee made that actually everyone is going to God. Everyone is going to God. A devotee goes to God or Krishna so that a devotee can serve Krishna. Okay, a demon goes to God or Krishna so that they can kill Krishna. A materialistic person goes to Krishna so that they can get their desires satisfied. They take Krishna as a wishing well. A person who's suffering goes to Krishna so that suffering can be mitigated, or they can blame God. Either one of the two. Some people blame, right? That why did you do this to me? Why me? All those things to God or Krishna. So everyone is approaching some way or the other. So Sanjaya, Dhritarashtra is approaching by being antagonistic to the existence of Krishna. He does not like the fact that Krishna is going to show the universal form. He looks very disturbed, right? This particular Sanjaya looks neutral. And to me, he looks very disturbed that, oh, now there's going to be a devastation. Krishna is going to show his universal form. Everything is going to be over. That doesn't define God. That doesn't define devotee. Sorry. Now, this is a vision of the universal form. So far, Arjuna is not sharing his experience. It's his observation. There's a difference between observation and feelings. So observation is what is happening here. Arjuna saw in that universal form unlimited mouths and unlimited eyes. Unlimited. It was all wondrous. The form was decorated with divine, dazzling ornaments and arrayed in many garbs. He was garlanded gloriously, and there were many scents smeared over his body. All was magnificent, all expanding unlimited. This was seen by Arjuna. If hundreds of thousands of suns rose up at once into the sky, they might resemble the effulgence of the Supreme Person in that universal form. So here is Krishna in his original form. Here is Arjuna in his cart, in his ratha, horse cart, chariot, in the war field. And then Krishna gave him the vision and displayed the universal form right there. So he can see unlimited eyes, unlimited mouths, unlimited ornaments, unlimited garlands. So everybody, he saw Brahma. See, Brahma is here. He saw all the demigods. Lord Shiva is here. He saw everyone, every single living entity in that particular form. And then it was so bright. If you ever have an experience where you would lift your head and see the sun in the sky, you can't really see, right? While driving, if the sun is very strong, you kind of have to put the sun shield down or wear your goggles, right? Otherwise, you can't drive. Imagine if thousands of suns rose. That was the effulgence that Krishna had. That we have one sun, they were like thousands of suns. At that time, Arjuna could see in the universal form of the Lord the unlimited expansion of the universe situated in one place, although divided into many, many thousands. So he could see unlimited expansions of the universe. So universe is expanded, right? Like, for example, we have Earth here, and we have other planet at some other place. And we have so many stars, so many galaxies, so many things are there in the universe. So everything is divided, right, at its own particular place. But in that particular form, Arjuna could see everything in one place, everything gathered together. That's what it means. Krishna brought everything together. Now he's gonna share his feelings. Just listen, like how expressive and how much he's in touch with his feelings. Then, bewildered and astonished, his hair standing on end, Arjuna began to pray with folded hands, offering obeisances to the Supreme Lord. So he's bewildered and he's astonished. People say spirituality is without feelings. Spirituality is full of like real feelings. Real. They're real because they are in connection with the real person. They're not flickering. Okay, we living entity has feelings. Krishna has feelings, but they are real. When we are in touch with Krishna, everything is real. Everything is to stay. So bewilderment and astonishment is also a feeling. His hair standing on end. Remember, this is the second time Vyasdev writes this hair standing on end. First hair standing on end was in first chapter, but that was out of the illusion, the or force, or Arjuna was forcing only ill in if he was gonna fight this battle. But now his hair is standing on the end because he is in ecstasy, because he's like really bewildered, like, oh, so much, like, what did I just see, like that. He's surprised. Arjuna said, my dear Lord Krishna, I see assembled together in your body all the demigods and various other living entities. I see Brahma sitting on the lotus flower, as well as Lord Shiva and many sages and divine serpents. O Lord of the universe, I see in your universal body many, many forms, bellies, mouths, eyes, expanded without limit. There is no end, there is no beginning, and there is no middle to all this. Your form, adorned with various crowns, clubs, and discs, is difficult to see because of its glaring effulgence, which is fiery and immeasurable like the sun. So, this is what the universal form is. You are the supreme primal objective. Now he's gonna start offering prayers because he's in ecstasy. That is the sign of a devotee. The sign of a devotee, whenever they go in ecstasy, they offer prayers. Yesterday also, after hearing the glories of Krishna, he offers prayers. So he says, you are the supreme primal objective. You are the best in all universes. You are inexhaustible. You are the oldest. You are the maintainer of religion, the eternal personality of Godhead. Personality. God is not energy, he's a person. You are the origin without beginning, middle, or end. You have numberless arms, and the sun and moon are among your great unlimited eyes. By your own radiance, you are heating this entire universe. Although you are one, you are spread throughout the sky and the planets and all space between. O great one, as I behold this terrible form, I see that all planetary systems are perplexed. It's very frank. He's saying, Krishna, this form is terrible, and everyone is disturbed. All the demigods are surrendering and entering into you. They are very much afraid, and with folded hands, they are singing the Vedic hymns. Everyone is bewildered, like, Krishna has shown universal form. What happened? O mighty armed one, all the planets with their demigods are disturbed at seeing your many faces, eyes, arms, bellies, and legs, and your terrible teeth, and as they are disturbed, so am I. O all pervading Vishnu, I can no longer maintain my equilibrium. Seeing your radiant colors fill the skies and beholding your eyes and mouths, I am afraid. So many things, bewildered, astonished, and I am disturbed. I am afraid. You see, these are all aesthetics, ecstasy, signs of ecstasy. All the sons of Dhritarashtra, along with their allied kings and Bhishma, Drona, and Karna, and all our soldiers are rushing. Our soldiers also are rushing into your mouths, and their heads smashed by your powerful teeth. I see that some are being crushed between your teeth as well. So everyone is going inside. So everyone has to go to Krishna. If we don't surrender to Krishna voluntarily, then Krishna will come as death. Mrityu sarva harascha aham. He will come as death and take away everything. Because that is the reason behind the creation. People ask, right, why am I made? Why? This is the reason, so that I can surrender to Krishna. If I don't surrender to Krishna, then Krishna will forcefully come as death. As the rivers flow into the sea, so all these great warriors enter your blazing mouth and perish. And then he asks Krishna a question here, that who are you? He says, who are you? Please explain that to me. And Krishna is going to answer. The blessed Lord said, time I am, destroyer of the worlds, and I have come to engage all people. With the exception of you, the Pandavas, all the soldiers here on both sides will be slain. So everyone is going to die. No one is going to go back home. So he's telling Arjuna in a way that you are telling that you are thinking that if you're not going to fight and you're going to renounce the battlefield and go and sit in the forest, then everyone is going to be safe and secure. But that's not what my plan is. That's not what my plan is. So you better surrender unto my plan, right? He's saying, even if you fight or you don't fight, then no one is going home. It's not up to you to decide. I have already made a decision. Then what is my role? Okay, if Krishna has already decided that no one is going to go home, then what is my role in it? This is my role. Tasmat tvam uttishta yasho labhashva jitva shatrun bhunkshva rajyam samriddham maye maye vaitai nihata purvam eva nimitta matram bhavisavya sachin. Therefore, get up and prepare to fight. After conquering your enemies, you will enjoy a flourishing kingdom. They are already put to death by my arrangement, and you, O Savya Sachin, can be but an instrument in the fight. So, this is our role. It's not that Krishna consciousness movement is dependent on one person or two-person. No. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already declared that Hare Krishna Mahamantra is going to be chanted in every town and village of the whole world. It's already made. The declaration is already there in the scriptures. So, what is my role? Because sometimes some devotee may think that unless and until I do it, this thing is not going to make out. So, I factor come in, right? Like Arjuna is saying that if I don't fight, then there's going to be no ghastly end to it, and then everyone will be happy. That's what he's thinking. But we forget the original cause of all causes, Krishna. What is Krishna's decision? So it's really not up to Arjuna. In the same way, it is really not up to us whether this movement will go on or not, because this movement will go on. Hare Krishna Mahamantra will be chanted. Even if I try to stop it, it will still go. And even if I try to help, then what is my role? What is my role? This is my role. That I can be an instrument in the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Instrument. Become an instrument. Right now, we are an instrument in the hands of Maya. Yeah, right. She's like playing with us. Here you go. Take birth. This is your place of birth. You don't choose. Here you go. Grow old. Here you go. The disease has come. And here you go. Time to go. Death. Is this time? She's playing. Of course, there are deeper reasons. Of course, I'm not denying her as a devotee of Krishna. Everything is happening under Krishna's supervision. He says that, right? Maya dhakshena prakriti suyate sacharacharam. But right now, I am helplessly being tossed by the waves of time to go through these embarrassing situations in my life. It is embarrassing. No one wants to grow old. Is there anyone in this room who can't wait to be 90 years old? Anyone? I don't want to grow old. If I can just lock the time or maybe go back a little bit. But is there anybody who wants to grow old? Nobody wants to go old. There is no research in the science that says that okay, you can do this and you can grow old. Somebody is saying I want to, but that's not a normal condition. I'm sorry to say, but that's not a normal condition. Normal condition is to stay healthy. Old means that there is going to be some problem. The bodily functions are going to be slowed down. So many things. Geriatrics is another concept of medicine. They don't fit into adult medicine at all. They are geriatrics, different. Sleep cycle is different. Needs are different. Everything is different. So functions are slowed down. Memory is reduced. Right? The body does not look as fresh as it used to. There is no research in science which can expedite the old age. Okay, but there are a lot of research in science which can halt or which can postpone the old age. Right? We see that. Put this cream on the face so you can have anti patchwork, anti wrinkle cream. Put this, you will postpone your wrinkles on the face. Or take these tablets and the energy level will go up. Or take this tablet, your memory will be enhanced. So it's so much of work, and people spend so much of money in doing all this. So the point I'm trying to make is that I am being played and tossed around by the waves of Maya, but I do have a choice that whether I want to do that or I want to become an instrument in the hands of Krishna or in the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu or Srila Prabhupada and that movement. Because Hare Krishna movement will go on. If I become an instrument in the hands of Prabhupada, then my life is perfect. It's not more for Prabhupada because Prabhupada's movement is going to go on. He started it alone. But my life will be perfect. It will be perfect. Not only this life, there's so much security, so much happiness, and so much knowledge, so much of enjoyment. Everything is there. So I will be the happy person. It will be me. You can but be an instrument in the fight. So we have a choice. Krishna is very clearly telling us, Nimitta matram bhavasavya sachin. Just be an instrument in my hands. So why don't we become an instrument in the hands of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra and each one teach one? Just this way, the whole world will become encircled by Hare Krishna Mahamantra and everything. Everyone will be happy. That's the main aim of life, to be happy. But we don't know the way to become happy. This is a way to become happy, to become an instrument. Become an instrument, like a surgeon who does the surgery using this scalpel. Scalpel is not doing the surgery. Scalpel is an instrument, but because it is in the hands of a knowledgeable person, it's been used properly. Like that, if I go in the hands of a knowledgeable acharya or a knowledgeable guru, then my life has a use. So this is a decision time. It's really a decision time. It hides. Okay. People think they don't have choice. Krishna has given choices so many times. The blessed Lord said, all the great warriors, Drona, Bhishma, Jayadratha, Karna are already destroyed. Simply fight and you will vanquish your enemies. So don't think that you are the one killing. Already destroyed. You just become an instrument and take the credit as fighting and obeying my order. Now, one question I had here is, what is the meaning of the word Savyasachin? This is he's addressing Arjuna as Savyasachin. What does it mean? Does anyone know the meaning of the word Savyasachin? Savyasachin means who is expert in shooting arrows. And it also means ambidextrous, correct? So there are two meanings. One is who is expert in shooting arrows, which Prabhupada explains in the purport, first line itself. And other meaning of Savyasachin is one who can use both hands with the same capability. Sanjaya said to Dhritarashtra, O king, after hearing these words from the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Arjuna trembled, fearfully offered obeisances with folded hands, and began faltering to speak as follows. So this is also a sign of ecstasy, that Krishna is talking to him who he is and then what is the purpose. And he's like, so I am not the one who is supposed to be the on whose action the decision, on whose action or on whose decision the future of the fight depends on. So his illusion is now getting more and more clarified. He prays like this. This is my favorite prayer in this 36th verse. Oh Rishikesha, the world becomes joyful upon hearing your name. The whole world becomes joyful upon hearing your name. And thus everyone becomes attached to you. Although the perfected beings offer you their respectful homage, the demons are afraid and they flee here and there. All this is rightly done. I have never heard of anyone saying that when we hear this particular name, the whole world becomes joyful. Whole world, not just earthly planet, every planetary system, everybody, all the living beings, human beings, animals, birds, fishes, everybody, and the plants, everybody becomes joyful. Have you heard of anyone other than Krishna like this? This thing is not used for anyone. These are exclusive for Krishna, exclusive. The world becomes joyful upon hearing your name. Krishna is the most famous personality. Everybody knows Krishna. So we don't have any other unmatched fame. Krishna enjoys unmatched. O great one who stands above even Brahma, you are the original master. Why should they not offer their homage up to you, O limitless one? O refuge of the universe, you are the invincible source, the cause of all causes, transcendental to this material manifestation. You are the original personality, the Godhead. You are the only sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You know everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are above the material modes or limitless form. The whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Such exclusive opulence. And I have in the past addressed you as O Krishna, O Yadava, O my friend, without knowing your glories. Please forgive me, whatever I may have done in madness or in love. I have dishonored you many times while relaxing or while lying in the same bed or eating together, sometimes alone and sometimes in front of many friends. Please excuse me for all my offenses. You see, he became afraid, right? And he became bewildered. So, original relationship that Arjuna enjoys with Krishna is that of a friend. He serves Krishna in the friendship, Sakyaras. But because now Krishna has shown his universal form, Arjuna never thought that Arjuna Krishna is so powerful. Now he's a little bit shaken up. So he's going to the secondary rasa, where he has bewilderment, astonishment, surprise. So there are five primary relationship one can enjoy with Krishna, and then there are seven secondary. So now he's forgetting his primary and going to the secondary rasa. Uh, that's why he's begging forgiveness to Krishna. I'm sorry, Krishna, I did this to you. I thought you were just my friend. But actually, he will come back. He'll come back to this for primary rasa later. Hare Krishna. After seeing this universal form, which I have never seen before, I am gladdened. But at the same time, my mind is disturbed with fear. Therefore, please bestow your grace upon me and reveal again your form as the personality of Godhead or Lord of Lords overboard of the universe. So he's requesting Krishna to show his original form again and wind up. Enough. Fearful, terrible, glazing, and dangerous, bewildering, astonishing. Please wind up that form. O universal Lord, I wish to see you in your four-armed form with helmeted head and with club wheel conch and lotus flower in your hands. I long to see you in that form. O best of the Kuru warriors, no one before you has ever seen this universal form of mine. For neither by studying the Vedas, nor by performing sacrifices, nor by charities or similar activities can this form be seen. Only you have seen this form. Your mind has been perturbed upon seeing this horrible, Krishna is validating, horrible feature of mine. Now let it be finished. My devotee, be free from all disturbance. With a peaceful mind, you can now see the form you desire. So he wanted to see the four-handed form of Krishna with the chakra, padma, gada, and shankha. Right? This form of Krishna in Narayana feature is described so many times in Shrimad Bhagavatam. Why don't you tell me where is this described? If you have read Shrimad Bhagavatam, tell me which chapter or where, which canto do you think this has been described? Uh, am I audible?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you, Seema. Yes, so where is it described? Which part of the Shrimad Bhagavatam Krishna shows his universe, his Narayana feature? Tell me at least one place. Uh, so that means no one
Dhruv
has read
Maharaj,
Bhagavatam.
Mataji.
Dhruv Maharaj,
Dhruv
yes. Yes, Dhruv Maharaj, thank you. When Dhruv Maharaj was meditating on Krishna, he showed his four-handed form to him. Yes. Where else? Where else in Srimad Bhagavatam? And it is described in great detail. It is described when Bhishma Dev is leaving his body. He's meditating on Narayana feature. It is described in first canto, 9th chapter. It is described in Dhruv Maharaj pastime. It is also described in when King Chitraketu gets perfection of life. There it is described. It is also described when Krishna takes his birth into Mother Devaki and Vasudev. Somebody wrote that too. Yes. Okay, it is also described by Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva describes Narayana feature of Krishna. Um, like that, it is described at many places in Srimad Bhagavatam, and then it is described in such a nice manner. It's always starts from the lotus feet of Krishna. Lotus feet of Krishna are like this. There are signs under the soul of Krishna that mark him to be the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then Krishna is wearing this effulgent blue colored garment, and then his jewel, his Vajanti garland is described. His skin, which is compared to the very soft, it's very soft, and it is compared to the feather of a peacock, is described. His amulets are described. His helmet is described. His all the four paraphernalia that he's holding is described. His smile is described. Everything is there. Please read Srimad Bhagavatam. If you're not reading Srimad Bhagavatam, then you're missing out an opportunity of a human life. It is a miss. Why do you want to miss? Sanjay said to Dhritarashtra, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, while speaking thus to Arjuna, displayed his real four-arm form, and at last he showed his two-arm form, thus encouraging the fearful Arjuna. Okay, so at the same place, so it's wound up. Everything looks so calm here now, right? It's wound up. The universal form he he took back, and then he showed his four-handed form, and then he came back to the two-handed form. When Arjuna thus saw Krishna in his original form, he said, "Seeing his human-like form so very beautiful, my mind is now pacified, and I am restored to my original nature." The blessed Lord said, "My dear Arjuna, the form which you are seeing is very difficult to behold. Even the demigods are ever seeking the opportunity to see this form which is so dear. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding." Okay, so it's not that, okay, let me do a lot of austerities, let me study a lot of Vedic scriptures, let me um, do so many penances, or let me become a very scholarly person, I will see Krishna. No, no, and no, and no. Then what? Only by undivided devotional service. Undivided devotional service to Krishna. Actually, undivided devotional service to the pure devotee of Krishna is even better. Then the pure devotee, right? This is a Rigved mantra. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam Sada Pashyanti Suryaha. The meaning of the mantra is that as a common person, when they lift up their head on the sky, they can see the planets like moon and sun, right? We can see these planets, moon and sun. A common person, when they lift their head in the sky, they can see that. Similarly, when a self-realized soul looks at the sky, they look at the abode of the Lord, abode of Vishnu. And because they can see it, they can give it to others. They can reveal it to others. So it's better to serve, better to become an instrument in the hands of a pure devotee, like Srila Prabhupada. Otherwise, otherwise, go on. I told no, my spiritual master says one can live in this place as long as one wants, as long. Bhaktya te ananya sakhya aham eva vidho arjuna gyatvam drishtam cha tatvena pravishtum cha parantapa. My dear Arjuna, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am, standing before you, and can thus be seen directly. Only in this way can you enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Mat karma krin mat paramo mad bhakta sangha varjita nirveraha sarva bhuteshu yasa mam eti pandava. My dear Arjuna, one who is engaged in my pure devotional service, free from the contamination of previous activities and from mental speculation, who is friendly to every living entity, certainly comes to me. We have a surety that if I follow the footstep of a great Acharya, Mahajana Yena Gata Sabandha, I am getting perfection. Krishna is giving perfection. The spiritual master gives assurance. And Prabhupada himself gives assurance. And we feel the assurance. One can feel. But it is very bewildering that despite of having so much assurance of such a nice future and such a nice present life, people don't take up Krishna consciousness. They want to rot. Okay, people ask, how are you sure? I say, we are as sure as you are sure that you are going to die. I am as sure of my security, similarly, as sure. My surety can be compared like you people are not sure what's going to happen, right? But they're sure that they're going to die. Similarly, a devotee of Krishna is sure that there's going to be a lot of security. So this is what is discussed today. Arjuna requests Krishna to show his universal form. He first requests, and then we discussed what makes Arjuna request this now when he himself says that my illusion is not dispelled. So we discussed the 4 reasons. Drishtvam ichhami te rupam. Then Krishna describes his universal form. And then this 5th to 8th verse, Bahuni adrishta purvani. Then Arjuna gets the vision of the universal form. He looks at the universal form. From 9th to 14th verse, Aneka adbhuta darshanam. Then Arjuna shares his experience of the universal form. From 15th to 31st verse, Dhrityam na vidami samam cha Vishnu. Then he asks Krishna, who are you? Krishna replies from verse 32 to 34, Kalavasmi lokakshaya krit pravardho. Time I am. And then Arjuna prays to Krishna after hearing and looking and experiencing from verse 35 to 46. Sa gadadam bhitta bhitta pranamaya. And then Krishna says to Arjuna that pure bhakti is needed to see Krishna. From verse 47 to 55. Bhaktya te ananya sakhya. There is no other way. If somebody still wants to waste their time, then good luck. But there is no other way. It's not going to work. It's just not going to work. He himself is saying there is no other way to see Krishna. Okay, let me ask questions, and I will ask questions about yesterday too. So you have 2 questions today. Why did Arjuna want to see the universal form as described in verse 3? Arjuna was still not fully convinced of Krishna's supremacy as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arjuna was more attached to Vishwarupa form of Krishna. Arjuna wanted to convince others in future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person and to set criteria for the Supreme Lord. Arjuna found more peace in universal form than the original two-handed form of Krishna. Second question is, what does Savyasachin refer to? From in verse 33. One who is very intelligent in the field, one who is very strong physically, one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field, or one who is conscious of his acts in the field. Okay, so far 40% of the class is voted. Okay, almost 60% of the class is voted. Interestingly, question number 2 is answered more than question number 1 right now. Okay, I'll give few more seconds. Hare Krishna. Like 10 more seconds. 70% of the class is voted. All right. So I'm going to stop the polling. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So why did Arjuna want to see the universal form? The answer is Arjuna wanted to convince others in future who may think that Krishna is an ordinary person and to set criteria for the Supreme Lord. The answer is not one. Because he's saying that that my illusion is not dispelled. If he was not convinced, then he wouldn't be saying this, that my illusion is not dispelled. Okay, and then Savyasachin, most of the people answered right. Refers to one who can shoot arrows very expertly in the field. Other answers are wrong. Okay. Arjuna was more attached to Vishwarupa form of Krishna. No, he's not, because he's telling Krishna to please wind up this terrible feature. Arjuna found more peace in, he said, my mind is disturbed. He's not peaceful. Okay, so from yesterday's chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, because yesterday I was not able to launch the poll. So please answer this question from yesterday's class. What is the effect of knowing the greatness of Krishna as described in verse 7 of 10th chapter? One becomes an atheist, one becomes fixed in devotional service, one becomes a mystic, none of the above. What happens when one knows Krishna or greatness of Krishna? Okay, good response. Within 20 seconds of launching the poll, 65% of the class answered. Thank you. Okay, we can give 20 more seconds. Almost 80% of the class has answered this question. Very nice. Thank you. All right, 10 more seconds. All right, so I'm going to stop the polling. 84% of the class has answered. Thank you very much. The answer is one becomes fixed in devotional service. One becomes an atheist by knowing Krishna. How can you become an atheist? One becomes a mystic. Mystic means that they still have a desire to enjoy some kind of a yogic siddhi. That's a mystic. I want to have some power. But a devotee of Krishna does not have any such desires. None of the above. I don't know why someone answered none of the above. Something happens when you know the greatness of Krishna, is that you become fixed in devotional service to Krishna. Fixed, immovable. One more question from yesterday's chapter. This was a prayer. What made Arjuna to conclude that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the supreme origin, the cause of all causes? For verse number 12 to 13. Vedic literature confirmed that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Great sages proclaimed that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Krishna himself declared that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. All of the above. This is that verse, Param Brahma, Param Dhama, Pavitram Paramam Bhavam. All right, so far 71% of the class is voted. Okay, I can give 20 more seconds. So far 82% of the class is voted. Thank you so much everyone for voting. Okay, I'm going to end the polling. So according to that prayer, the answer is all of the above. Because that prayer I discussed, that someone may think that Arjuna is praising Krishna because he's friends with Krishna, but he gives references that Asito, Devalo, Vyasa, everyone, all the great sages, all the great scriptures are confirming, and you yourself is declaring it to me. So Vedic literature confirm Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, correct. Sages confirm Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead, correct. Krishna himself confirms that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, correct. All of the above. 61% answers right. All the other answers are right. They're not wrong, but they're partially right. Complete right is all of these, according to the verse. Okay. Okay, I have a very nice snippet from Krishna Prabhupada to show everyone, and then we can take up the questions.
Giving the independence. Now, whatever you like, you can do. Krishna never forced him to accept the teachings of Bhagavad Gita. He gave him the independence. Now, whatever you like, you can do. And he agreed. Yes, now my illusion is over. I shall act, as you say. The same independence. Yeah?
This is in the 18th chapter.
Thus I have explained to you the most lengthy Sanskrit.
Yeah.
Iti te jnanam akyatam guya guyataram maya virishyaitar asheshena yate chasit tatha kuru. Thus I have explained to you the most confidential of all knowledge. deliberate on this fully, and then do what you wish to do.
Yeah. Now, if you say, why this whole should become so foolish, so that is misuse of independence. An intelligent father has got intelligent son, but sometimes he becomes a fool. So, what is the reason? That he is this part and parcel of the father. He should have become exactly like the father, but he does not become like the father. I have seen in Allahabad, the big lawyer, barrister, Mr. Banerjee, his eldest son was also barrister, and his youngest son, on account of bad association, he became a kawala. A kawala means in India there is a carriage drawn by one horse. So he liked to be an ekala. That means he fell in love with a low-class woman, and by her association, he became an ekala. There are many instances. Therefore, it is the duty of the human being how to control the mind, not act like cats and dogs. That is human being. He should be inquisitive. Why this happening? Why this happening? And he should take education. That is human life. And if he does not inquire, if he does not take education, then what is the difference between him and the dog? He remains a dog. He has got this opportunity of human life. He should take advantage of understanding what is what. Not to keep himself in the dog status, simply eating, sleeping, sex life, and defending. That is the distinction between dog and human being. If he does not become inquisitive, how to control the mind? He is not even human being. And dog never inquires. The dog knows that when I bark, people become disturbed. He will never ask how to control this barking habit. Because he is dog. He cannot do that. A human being can do that. People hate me. I do something wrong. How to control my mind? That is human. That is the difference between human being and dog. That's what Vedic injunction is. Go and inquire. You have got this human form of life. Athata Brahma Jigyasa. Now this is the time for inquiring about the soul. Tad Vijnanartham sa Gurumeva aviyachet. If you want to understand this science, then go to proper Guru and take lessons from him. The same thing as we instruct our children. If you want to be educated in the higher status of life, go to school, go to college, take lessons. That is human society. The dog's father will never ask the dog, child, go to school. No, they are dogs.
Okay, so we have a choice. Dogs don't have a choice. Madhurani, Rupa Mataji, and Anvaya Mataji is not there. Okay, Madhurani and Rupa Mataji, I'll make 2 rooms.
Okay, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
And then in 5 minutes, I'll bring you guys back. Okay.
Okay, Mataji.
Hare Krishna. So please make sure you're in different rooms. Okay, everyone can feel free to join them. Seema Mataji, we can stop recording. We have enough question answers from 10 other batches.
Okay.
Thank you, Krishna.
Welcome.
All right, so anyone has any question in the main room? People are still leaving. Subhashish Kar, Prabhu, Hare Krishna, you can raise your hand.
Hare
I mean,
Krishna,
you can
Mataji.
unmute. Hare Krishna.
So I have a question here. According to the scriptures, we see that Lord Shiva is considered to be an ideal Vaishnava, and he constantly meditates upon Lord Rama and Vishnu. So why is that he's so much intolerant? We see scenarios like he has beheaded his son because when he didn't allow him to enter into his house, so he has beheaded him. So why that the tolerance level is very much low in Lord Shiva?
How do you know? I don't know the whole pastime behind Kartikeya. That's a very incomplete knowledge. How do you know? It's not. I can give you one incidence from what I know from 4th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Is when Mother Sati, Lord Shiva's and what is his name? Daksha and Lord Shiva are the two sons of Brahma. So Brahma tells Daksha, marry your daughter Sati to Lord Shiva. Daksha doesn't want to do that. Daksha thinks that Lord Shiva is, because Sati is his favorite daughter, he doesn't want to marry his daughter to Lord Shiva, because he thinks that my daughter will not have a proper residence to stay and all, because Lord Shiva is an epitome of detachment. This is such a topmost Vaishnava. But anyhow, the pastime goes that he actually insults Sati one time. And Mother Sati, because she can't bear the insult of her husband, she gives up her body by chanting the mantras in the field, in the paraphernalia of the sacrifice. She chants mantras because her husband is insulted. She gives up her body. That time, Lord Shiva's anger is described in 4th canto by Vyasdev. But it is also written that he's not angry like an ordinary husband is angry because of this moroseness or grieving for his wife. No, he's angry because a Vaishnavi is being insulted. So there's got to be some pastime. I don't know that pastime incomplete. I really cannot comment on it, but there's got to be something there that a Vaishnava is insulted. Then only Lord Shiva displays his anger. Otherwise, he's in full control.